The storm hit New Haven Colony just after sunset. Tae-sung stood at the window of his small schoolhouse and watched the sky turn purple and green. Ion storms were common on this world, but this one looked worse than usual. Lightning crackled across the clouds in colors that didn't exist on Earth. The wind howled and shook the building's metal walls. Tae-sung sighed and started cleaning up the classroom. Tiny chairs sat in neat rows. Colorful drawings covered the walls. His students had drawn pictures of different alien species today. Some were good. Some were just blobs with too many eyes. He smiled as he looked at them. He had been a scientist once. A xenobiology researcher studying alien life forms across the galaxy. That felt like another lifetime ago. After his sister died in a transport accident, he couldn't focus on research anymore. The lab felt cold and empty. So he came here, to the edge of explored space, to teach children about the universe. It was simpler. It hurt less. The lights flickered as another wave of energy swept over the colony. Tae-sung grabbed his coat and headed for the door. His small apartment was only 10 minutes away if he walked fast. He could make it before the storm got really bad. He stepped outside, and the wind nearly knocked him over. Rain came down in heavy sheets, cold and stinging. Tae-sung pulled his coat tight and locked the door. The colony's main buildings glowed in the distance, their lights fuzzy through the rain. He started walking. Then he heard it. A sound so quiet he almost missed it. A whimper, like a hurt animal. Tae-sung stopped. He turned slowly, trying to figure out where the sound came from. There it was again. Coming from behind the storage units, next to his schoolhouse. He should keep walking. The storm was getting worse. But something made him go back. Maybe it was his old research instincts. Maybe he was just too curious for his own good. Behind the storage units, pressed against the wall, was a small figure. Tae-sung's breath caught in his throat. It wasn't human. The creature was about the size of a 10-year-old child. But its skin glowed faintly, with blue patterns that flickered like dying lights. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a face that was almost human-like but not quite. The eyes were too large, and had no whites, just solid black orbs that reflected his flashlight beam. The creature was shivering violently. Its glowing patterns were scattered and weak. Tae-sung recognized the species immediately from his research days. Velcrim. Tae-sung. 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 He had only seen them in videos and scientific papers. They were rare. In human space. Very rare. And this one was dying. Tae-sung knew some things about Velcrim biology. They were cold-blooded and needed specific temperatures to survive. This storm was too cold. The creature's body was shutting down. He also knew that Velcrim culture was complicated and strict. Interfering with their people could cause problems. Big problems. But he couldn't just leave a child to die in the rain. Tae-sung made his decision in 2 seconds. He knelt down next to the creature. Hey. It's okay. I'm going to help you. The Velcrim child looked at him with those huge black eyes. Its mouth moved, making clicking sounds mixed with words in standard language. No. Cannot. They hunt. Cannot go back. Shh. It's okay. Let's get you warm first. Tae-sung carefully picked up the child. It was lighter than he expected. And cold. So cold. Its skin felt smooth like glass. He carried the Velcrim back into the schoolhouse and kicked the door shut behind him. The building's heating system was basic, but it would work. Tae-sung set the child down on his desk and cranked the temperature controls as high as they would go. The child's eyes were closing. Its skin patterns were barely visible now. Tae-sung ran to the supply closet and grabbed every blanket he could find. The emergency thermal blankets were in the back, the ones designed for different species. He wrapped them around the small Velcrim, making sure to cover everything except its face. Stay with me, Tae-sung said. He pulled up a chair and sat close, monitoring the child's breathing. It was shallow and irregular. For the next hour, Tae-sung didn't move. He watched the Velcrim child slowly warm up. The skin patterns began to glow brighter. The shivering became less violent. Finally, those black eyes opened and looked at him with something like awareness. "Better?" Tae-sung asked softly. The child nodded. When it spoke, its voice was clearer. "You saved me. Why? I am nothing to you. You're a kid who needed help." "That's enough reason." The Velcrim stared at him like he had said something strange. "I am Hana. Clan Velmora. I ran away. I'm Tae-sung. I teach at this school." "Why did you run away, Hana?" Hana's glow dimmed a little. "The trial. I was afraid. They wanted me to fight, to prove I am strong. But I am not strong. I am weak." She said the word like it was poison. Tae-sung frowned. "Being afraid doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart. Fear keeps us alive. Not in my clan. In my clan, fear means you are worthless." Hana looked away. "I would rather die in the storm than face them again. But then, you found me. Well, I'm glad I did. You can stay here tonight. The storm will pass soon." Outside, the wind screamed. Inside, the schoolhouse was warm and quiet. Hana curled up in the blankets and closed her eyes. Tae-sung made himself coffee and sat at his desk, thinking. He had so many questions. Why was a Velcrim child alone on a human colony? What kind of trial made someone so scared they would run into a deadly storm? And what would happen when someone came looking for her? As dawn came, the storm finally ended. Tae-sung stood at the window and watched the sky turn pink and orange. Hana was asleep on the floor, wrapped in blankets, her skin glowing softly with steady blue patterns. Then Tae-sung saw them. Ships descending from orbit. Not human ships. These were sleek and sharp. Like black knives cutting through the morning sky. They moved with purpose, heading straight for the colony. Velcrim ships. His communicator buzzed with an emergency broadcast. The colony administrator's voice was panicked. "All residents. Unknown vessels have entered our space. They are not responding to standard protocols. Security forces are on alert. Please remain in your homes." Tae-sung looked at the sleeping Hana. Then back at the ships. There were dozens of them. More than enough to conquer the entire colony if they wanted to. They were here for her. They had to be. Tae-sung's heart pounded. What had he done? Had he just started a war by helping this child? He thought about running. About hiding Hana somewhere else. But where could they go? And more importantly, did he really want to run? No. He had made his choice last night. He had saved her life. He wasn't going to abandon her. Now, the ships landed in the open field near the colony center. Tae-sung watched figures emerge from them. Tall figures in armor that caught the morning light. They moved like soldiers, disciplined and deadly. One figure stood taller than the rest. Even from this distance, Tae-sung could see the leader's presence. The other warriors followed behind in formation. They were marching toward the schoolhouse. Tae-sung took a deep breath. His hands were shaking. He had faced dangerous animals during his research days. He had survived equipment failures on alien worlds. But nothing had prepared him for this. Behind him, Hana stirred and woke up. She saw the ships through the window and made a small, frightened sound. "It's okay," Tae-sung said, though he wasn't sure that was true. "Stay here. I'll talk to them." Tae-sung, Tae-sung, Tae-sung. "They will kill you for helping me," Hana whispered. "Maybe. But maybe not." Tae-sung gave her what he hoped was a confident smile. "Trust me." Tae-sung. He walked to the door and opened it. The Velcrim warriors were close now. He could see their armor clearly. It looked like crystal and metal combined, covering bodies that glowed with different colored patterns. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. The leader stopped 10 paces from the schoolhouse. Up close, he was terrifying. 7 feet tall, with skin that glowed bright blue, and armor decorated with symbols Taesung didn't recognize. His eyes fixed on Taesung with an intensity that made his knees weak. Taesung stood his ground. He had saved a child's life. Whatever happened next, at least he had done that much right. The Velcrim leader spoke in perfect standard language. His voice was deep and echoed strangely. Human. You have something that belongs to Clan Velmora. Taesung swallowed hard. If you mean Hana, she's not a thing. She's a child. And she's safe. The warrior's eyes narrowed. For a moment, Taesung thought he had made a fatal mistake. Then something unexpected happened. The tall warrior dropped to one knee. Every single warrior behind him did the same. Over 100 armored Velcrim, all kneeling in the dirt in front of a simple human teacher. Taesung's mind went blank. This was not what he expected. Taesung stared at the kneeling warriors. His brain couldn't process what he was seeing. Over 100 Velcrim soldiers, each one capable of killing him without effort, were bowing to him. The morning sun made their armor shine like diamonds. The tall leader remained on one knee, his head lowered. When he spoke, his voice carried across the field. Human teacher, you have saved the heir keeper of Clan Velmora. You have honored the blood bond when you had no obligation to do so. We recognize this debt. I don't understand, Taesung said. His voice sounded small. Compared to the warriors, the leader rose slowly. The other warriors stayed kneeling. I am Dae-hyun, first blade of Clan Velmora. The child you sheltered is Hana, youngest daughter of our matriarch and keeper of our genetic memory. She is precious beyond measure. Genetic memory? Taesung's old researcher instincts kicked in despite his fear. You mean she carries your species' historical records in her DNA? More than records. She carries the living experience of every matriarch before her. 50,000 years of memory, waiting to be transferred. Dae-hyun's glowing patterns shifted to a darker blue. She fled during her trial ceremony. We have been searching for 3 days. We thought she was dead. Behind Taesung, the schoolhouse door opened. Hana stepped out, still wrapped in blankets. She looked so small next to the armored warriors. Her glow was steady now, healthy, but her eyes were wide with fear. Hana, Dae-hyun said. His voice became gentler. You are safe now. The matriarch has been concerned. I failed, Hana whispered. I ran from the trial. I am a coward. You are alive. That is what matters. Dae-hyun looked at Taesung. In our culture, when one saves a life during voluntary exile, a blood bond forms. This human saved you with no knowledge of who you were or what reward he might receive. He acted from pure compassion. This is the highest form of honor. Taesung felt like he was dreaming. So, you're not going to arrest me? Or hurt the colony? Arrest you? Dae-hyun's patterns flickered, in what might have been confusion. You are now blood bonded to Clan Velmora. You are family. To harm you would be to harm ourselves. More ships descended from orbit. These were larger, more ornate. One landed directly in front of the schoolhouse, its arrival kicking up dust and making everyone shield their eyes. The boarding ramp lowered, with a hiss of hydraulics. The figure that emerged made every warrior instantly lower their heads further. Even Dae-hyun, the massive first blade, seemed small in comparison to the presence that walked down the ramp. She was ancient. Taesung could tell just by looking at her. Her skin patterns didn't just glow. They moved like galaxies swirling in slow motion. Her armor was minimal, just ceremonial pieces that marked her status. She didn't need armor. Power radiated from her like heat from a star. Matriarch Mireille, Dae-hyun announced. Mireille approached with slow, deliberate steps. Her eyes were solid white, glowing from within. She studied Taesung like a scientist examines a new specimen. He fought the urge to step back. So small. Mireille said. Her voice was old and dry but filled with authority. So fragile. Yet you risked yourself for my daughter. Without hesitation, she needed help. Anyone would have done the same. No. Mireille moved closer. She was only 6 feet tall but felt much larger. Most would not. Most would fear consequences. Most would calculate risk versus reward. You simply acted. This is rare, human. Even among my people. She turned to look at Hana, who was crying silently. Daughter, you fled your trial. You chose death over duty. I'm sorry, matriarch. I am not strong enough to be heir keeper. Strength comes in many forms. Mireille's patterns shifted to a softer color. But the trial must still be completed. Without it, you cannot claim your position. Without your position, our clan's memory dies with me. I am 3,000 years old, child. I am dying. The words hung in the air. Taesung saw the other warriors react, their patterns flickering with distress. This was news to them. How long? Dai-hyun asked quietly. Perhaps 1 year. Perhaps less. Mireille looked at Taesung again. The blood bond creates obligations both ways. Human. You saved Hana's life. Now you must help her complete her trial. This is the way of our people. I don't understand. What trial? What do I have to do? Mireille gestured, and one of the warriors brought forward a small, holographic projector. An image appeared in the air. It showed 2 Velkrim in ceremonial armor, fighting with energy blades. The combat was brutal and fast. The traditional trial of the heir keeper, Mireille explained. Single combat against 3 chosen warriors. Victory proves physical strength and tactical skill, but Hana failed before the trial even began. She ran when she saw the warriors approach. Taesung looked at Hana. She was shaking, her glow flickering again. She's terrified of fighting. You can see that. Yes. This is why she is considered weak. No. Taesung said firmly. The word came out before he could stop it. She's not weak. She's just different. There are other kinds of strength, the warriors muttered among themselves. Mireille's patterns swirled faster. Explain. Human. Taesung took a breath. This was insane. He was a teacher arguing with an ancient alien matriarch about her culture. But he had to try. In human history, we valued warriors above all else for thousands of years. The strongest fighter was the best leader. But we learned that wasn't true. Some of our greatest leaders never held a weapon. They led with wisdom, strategy, and understanding. Maybe Hana's strength isn't in combat. Maybe it's somewhere else. Our traditions are 50,000 years old, one of the warriors protested. We do not change them for one frightened child. Even if changing them might save your entire clan? Taesung shot back. If Hana can't complete the trial, you lose your genetic memory. Your history dies. Is tradition more important than survival? Silence. The warriors looked at each other. Dae-hyun's patterns flickered with something that might have been interest. Mireille studied Taesung for a long moment. You speak boldly for someone so small. But there is wisdom in your words. Very well. I propose a compromise. Hana must still prove her worth, but not through traditional combat. She must demonstrate strategic wisdom by solving a real problem facing our clan. What problem? Hana asked. Her voice was small but hopeful. Mireille gestured, and the hologram changed. It showed a massive derelict ship floating in space. The vessel was ancient and covered in strange symbols. 3 days ago, our scouts discovered this. It emits signals we cannot decode. 3 of our expeditions failed to board it. 2 ships were destroyed by automated defenses. We cannot claim it. We cannot destroy it. And we cannot ignore it. It sits in our territory, a threat we do not understand. You want me to figure out how to secure that ship? Hana's eyes were wide. If you can devise a strategy that works, you prove your wisdom. And you, blood-bonded human, will serve as her advisor. You spoke of different kinds of strength. Show me. Tae-sung felt like he had been hit by a truck. I'm not a military strategist. I'm a teacher. I don't know anything about space combat. You know how to think differently than we do. This is what Hana needs. This is what you can offer. Mirei's patterns pulsed once, bright and commanding. You have 3 days to prepare. Then we go to the derelict. Success means Hana becomes airkeeper. Failure means she loses her position, and I die with no successor. Do you accept? Tae-sung looked at Hana. The young Velcrim was staring at him with those huge black eyes. She looked terrified but also hopeful. He had saved her life last night. Now he had to help her save her future. He was going to regret this. He knew he was. But he couldn't say no. I accept. Mirei's patterns brightened. Good. Dae-hyun. Prepare quarters for the human aboard Times Honors Edge **. He will stay with us until the trial is complete. She turned to leave, then paused. Human teacher. You have made yourself part of something much larger than your small world. I hope you are ready for what comes next. As she walked back to her ship, Tae-sung couldn't help but feel he had just changed his life forever. The simple schoolteacher from the colony's edge was now entangled with an alien clan's survival. 3 days to figure out how to approach an unknown alien derelict. 3 days to help a scared child prove she deserved to lead her people. No pressure at all. Dae-hyun approached and placed a massive hand on Tae-sung's shoulder. Come, blood-bonded. I will show you your quarters, and perhaps explain what you have gotten yourself into. I think I'm starting to figure that out, Tae-sung muttered. Hana walked beside him as they headed toward the Velcrim ships. She looked up at him and spoke quietly. Thank you for everything. Don't thank me yet. We still have to actually solve this problem. I know. But at least I'm not alone anymore. Her patterns glowed a little brighter. That makes me less afraid. Tae-sung smiled despite everything. Maybe that was enough. Maybe reducing fear was the first step to finding courage. He was about to find out. The quarters they gave Tae-sung aboard the Times Honors Edge Times were bigger than his apartment on New Haven. The room was designed for Velcrim, so everything was slightly too large, and the lighting was strange. The walls glowed faintly with the same patterns that covered Velcrim's skin. It was beautiful and unsettling at the same time. Dae-hyun stood at the door, his massive frame filling the entrance. These quarters are reserved for clan elders. The matriarch honors you by placing you here. I'm not sure I deserve this, Tae-sung said, looking around at the ornate decorations. You saved the airkeeper's life. In our culture, this is the highest honor. Many warriors serve their entire lives and never earned such respect. Dae-hyun's patterns flickered. Dae-hyun's patterns. Dae-hyun's patterns. Rest tonight. Tomorrow, you begin working with Hana. You have 3 days. After Dae-hyun left, Tae-sung couldn't sleep. He stood at the window and looked out at space. New Haven Colony was visible below, small and fragile. The derelict ship floated in the distance, just visible as a dark shape against the stars. The door chimed. Tae-sung opened it to find Hana standing there, looking nervous. I couldn't sleep either, she said. May I come in? They sat together by the window. Hana was quiet for a long time, just staring at the stars. Finally, she spoke. I've been training for combat since I was small. Every day, fighting drills. Every night, studying battle tactics. My sisters were all good at it, natural warriors. But she trailed off. You're different, Tae-sung finished. I'm broken. I freeze when I see weapons. My body refuses to move. The trainers said I was defective. Her glow dimmed. Maybe they were right. Hey. Tae-sung waited until she looked at him. Different isn't broken. Some humans are afraid of heights. Some are afraid of water. It doesn't make them defective. It makes them human. Or in your case, Velcrim. But how can I lead my people if I'm afraid? Some of the best human leaders in history were afraid. They just didn't let fear stop them from doing what needed to be done. Taesung smiled. Besides, you ran into a deadly storm rather than give up completely. That took courage. That was just, I don't know what that was. It was bravery. Stupid bravery, maybe, but still. Bravery. Taesung stood up. Come on. Let's start working on the actual problem. Tell me everything you know about that derelict ship. They spent the night reviewing data. The ship was ancient, possibly thousands of years old. It appeared in Velcrim space 3 weeks ago, just sitting there. When the first expedition approached, automated defenses fired warning shots. The second expedition tried to force their way in, and was destroyed. The third expedition sent probes that were all disabled by some kind of electromagnetic pulse. What do we know about the civilization that built it? Taesung asked. Nothing. The symbols on its hull don't match any known language. The technology is beyond our understanding in some ways. Taesung studied the images. The ship was massive but elegant. It didn't look military. What if it's not a warship? What if those defenses are just protecting something? Protecting what? I don't know. But 3 expeditions tried force. None tried communication. Hana's patterns brightened. You think we should talk to it? Why not? If someone knocked on your door by breaking it down, you'd defend yourself. But if they knocked politely, Taesung shrugged. Worth a try. The next day, they presented the idea to the clan council. 5 elder warriors sat in a semicircle, including Daehyun. Mireille sat above them all, watching with those glowing white eyes. Communication? One elder, his patterns dark red with skepticism. We attempted standard hailing frequencies. There was no response. Maybe it doesn't understand standard frequencies, Taesung suggested. Or maybe it's not listening for military signals. What if we tried something more basic? Mathematical sequences. Universal constants. The kind of things any intelligent species would recognize. Quote, and if it responds with weapons fire? Another elder challenged. Then we're prepared to retreat. But if we just keep attacking it, we'll never know what it wants, or what it's protecting. Daehyun leaned forward. There is logic in this approach. We have tried force 3 times. Each attempt failed. Perhaps a different method is warranted. The human knows nothing of our ways, the red-patterned elder argued. Why should we trust his judgment? Because my ways haven't worked. Hana spoke up. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood straighter. I've studied combat my whole life, and I'm terrible at it. Maybe this is the same. Maybe we need to try something we're not trained for. Mireille's patterns swirled slowly. Interesting. Continue developing this plan. You have 2 more days. Taesung and Hana worked together constantly. They barely slept. Taesung showed Hana human problem-solving techniques. How to approach a problem from multiple angles. How to consider options that seemed impossible at first. How to think about what you wanted to achieve instead of just how to fight. Hana showed Taesung something even more amazing. She placed her hand on his forehead, and her patterns glowed bright. Suddenly, images flooded Taesung's mind. Ancient Velcrim history, cities of crystal. Wars that lasted centuries. Peace treaties, written in light. This is genetic memory, Hana explained. I carry fragments of it already. When I complete the inheritance, I'll carry all of it. 50,000 years of knowledge. Taesung felt dizzy. That's incredible. And terrifying. How do you hold all that in your head? We're designed for it. Our brains work differently than yours. She pulled her hand away, and the images faded. But it's also a burden. Knowing everything your ancestors knew, feeling their mistakes, their regrets. It's heavy. They developed a plan over the next 2 days. They would approach the derelict in a small diplomatic shuttle, not a warship. They would broadcast mathematical sequences first. Prime numbers, pi, the Fibonacci sequence. Then they would add Velkrim harmonic patterns, the basic sounds of their language, a combination of human and Velkrim communication. If the ship responded, they would proceed carefully. If it attacked, they would retreat. Simple. Direct. The council approved the plan, though some members clearly doubted it would work. Mireille said nothing, just watched with those ancient eyes. The night before the mission, Dae-hyun visited Tae-sung's quarters. "I wanted to speak with you privately." "Human. Call me Tae-sung. Human sounds weird." Dae-hyun's patterns flickered with amusement. "Very well. Tae-sung. I wanted to thank you. Hana has changed in these 3 days. She stands taller, speaks with more confidence. You have taught her something we could not. I just talked to her like a person instead of a warrior in training. Yes, this is what we failed to do." Dae-hyun sat down, his armor creaking. "Our culture values strength above all else. But perhaps we have forgotten other forms of strength. You remind us of this. What happens if this doesn't work? If the plan fails? 2. Then Hana loses her position. Mireille will die without passing on the genetic memory. Our clan will fall. We will be absorbed by other clans, or simply fade away." Dae-hyun's patterns darkened. "No pressure." "Oh, good. I was worried the stakes might be too low," Tae-sung said dryly. Dae-hyun made a sound that might have been a laugh. "I see why Hana likes you. You face fear with humor. This is also a kind of strength." The next morning, they prepared for the mission. Tae-sung wore a basic environment suit. Hana wore ceremonial armor that looked too big for her. Mireille inspected them both before they left. If you succeed, Hana becomes heir-keeper. The genetic memory will be secured. Mireille placed a hand on Hana's head. "If you fail, know that I am proud you tried. This takes courage." "Thank you, matriarch," Hana whispered. They were about to board the shuttle when alarms blared across the ship. Red lights flashed. Warriors rushed to battle stations. Dae-hyun appeared, his patterns blazing with anger. "We have a problem. Ships just entered the system. Clan Thorvik." "Who?" Tae-sung asked. "Rivals. They must have been monitoring our communications. They know about the derelict." Dae-hyun pointed at the view screen. 3 sleek warships appeared, moving fast toward the derelict's position. Their leader is Junwoo. Aggressive, ambitious. He will try to take the derelict by force. Mireille appeared on the command deck, her presence making everyone stand straighter. "Hail them." The view screen changed. A Velkrim male appeared. He was younger than Dae-hyun, his armor decorated with red symbols. His patterns pulsed with aggression. "Matriarch Mireille, how kind of you to locate this prize for Clan Thorvik. This derelict sits in our territory, Junwoo. By law, it is ours to claim. By law, salvage belongs to whoever can secure it. You have failed 3 times. We will not fail." Junwoo's eyes found Hana. "I hear your heir-keeper is finally attempting her trial. How sweet. A child and a human will claim what our warriors could not. This should be entertaining. RY. I propose a challenge," Mireille said. Her voice was cold as ice. "You attempt to take the derelict by force. We attempt our method. Whoever succeeds first makes the legitimate claim. And when we succeed?" Junwoo smiled. "What do I win?" "Standard salvage tribute. 1/10 of the derelict's value." "No. When I succeed, your heir-keeper abdicates. She admits her weakness publicly. And Clan Velmora pays tribute to Clan Thorvik for 1 year." The command deck went silent. The stakes had just become catastrophic. Not just Hana's future. Not just the genetic memory. The entire clan's honor and resources. Mireille's patterns barely moved. Agreed. But when we succeed, Clan Thorvik acknowledges Hana as true heirkeeper and pays us tribute. Done. Junwoo's image vanished. Taesung felt sick. This is insane. He's going to get people killed just to humiliate a child. This is our way, Daehyun said grimly. Honor through competition. He sees weakness and seeks to exploit it. Hana was shaking. Her patterns flickered wildly. I can't do this. Not with them watching. Not with everything at stake. Taesung knelt down in front of her. Hey. Look at me. We have a good plan. It's smart. It's careful. It's exactly the kind of thing you're good at. Don't let some jerk make you doubt yourself. But what if we fail? Then we fail trying our way. At least we'll know we didn't compromise who we are, just because someone tried to bully us. Taesung stood. Come on. Let's show them what different kinds of strength look like. Hana took a deep breath. Her patterns steadied. Okay. Let's do this. They boarded the shuttle. Through the window, Taesung could see Junwoo's warships racing toward the derelict. They weren't subtle or careful. They were going straight at it with all weapons ready. This was going to be very interesting. Or very terrible. Possibly both. The diplomatic shuttle felt tiny compared to the warships around them. Taesung sat in the co-pilot seat, while Hana controlled the navigation. Through the viewport, he could see the derelict ship growing larger. It was even more massive up close, easily twice the size of the Times Honor's Edge asterisk. The hull was covered in symbols that seemed to shift when you looked at them directly. Clan Thorvik is approaching from the opposite side, Hana reported. Her voice was steady, but Taesung could see her hands shaking on the controls. They're moving fast. Let them. We stick to our plan. Taesung activated the communication array. Start broadcasting the mathematical sequences. Hana nodded and began the transmission. Prime numbers first, pulsing out in a simple pattern. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Then pi, calculated to 100 decimal places. Then the Fibonacci sequence. Basic building blocks of mathematics that any intelligent species would recognize. The derelict didn't respond. On another screen, they watched Junwoo's 3 warships close in on the derelict from the far side. They weren't broadcasting anything. They were scanning with active sensors and charging weapons. They're going to attack it directly, Hana whispered. They're going to get themselves killed. Maybe. Or maybe they'll succeed. Taesung kept monitoring their own transmissions. Either way, we focus on what we can control. Aphris. The first Thorvik ship fired a concentrated beam at the derelict's hull. The energy splashed harmlessly against some kind of shield. The derelict remained silent and still. Junwoo's voice came over the open channel, broadcasting to everyone. Is that all? This ancient wreck thinks shields will stop Clan Thorvik? Concentrate. Fire. All ships. 3 beams hit the same point on the derelict's shield. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the shield flickered and failed in that section. The beams struck the hull, burning through the ancient metal. They did it, Hana said. They're breaking through, but Taesung was watching the rest of the derelict. The symbols on its hull were glowing now. Not the warm glow of Velcrim patterns. This was cold and blue, like ice. Something's happening. The derelict's external panels opened. What emerged weren't weapons in the traditional sense. They looked like swarms of tiny metallic insects, each no bigger than a fingernail. Millions of them poured out of the openings, forming clouds that moved with frightening coordination. What are those? Hana zoomed in on the swarms. Nanomachines, self-replicating construction bots. Taesung's research background kicked in. They're designed to build or repair. But they can also. The swarms hit the first Thorvik ship. For a few seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ship's hull began to dissolve. Not explode. Not burn. just dissolve, like metal turning to dust. The swarms were taking it apart atom by atom. Pull back! Junwoo screamed over the channel. Pull back now! The Thorvik ships tried to retreat, but the swarms were faster. They spread across the second ship's hull, and it too began to disintegrate. Warriors inside were shouting, panicking. Some managed to evacuate in escape pods before their ship came apart. The third ship turned and burned its engines at full power, barely escaping before the swarms could reach it. But the first two ships were gone, reduced to expanding clouds of dust and debris. Junwoo's ship limped away, damaged but intact. His voice was shaking. This is a massacre. Those aren't defenses. That's a weapon of mass destruction. No, Taesung said, still analyzing the data. It's not a weapon. It's a containment system. The derelict wasn't attacking your ships. It was defending itself from being damaged. Those nanomachines are programmed to disassemble anything that tries to break through the hull. That's a weapon, Junwoo shouted. It's protection, Taesung corrected. There's a difference. Weapons attack. This only defends. You triggered it by attacking first. Hana was pale, her patterns dim with shock. All those warriors. They're dead because of Junwoo's pride. Focus, Taesung said gently. We're still here. We're still trying. Add the Velcrim harmonics to our transmission. Let's see if combining both approaches works. Hana's hands moved across the controls. The mathematical sequences continued, but now they were layered with Velcrim sounds, clicks and whistles in specific patterns. The basic greetings of her people. Combined with human mathematics, it created something new, something unique. For a long moment, nothing happened. The derelict sat silent. The nanomachine swarms returned to their ports and disappeared. Everything was still. Then a light appeared on the derelict's hull. Just a single point at first. Then it grew, spreading across the ancient metal in patterns that looked almost like Velcrim skin markings. The entire ship began to glow with soft, welcoming light. It's responding, Hana breathed. It's actually responding. A new signal came through their communication system. Not words, not exactly, but information. Transmitted in mathematical and visual codes that their computer could translate. Images appeared on their screen. An empty world. Green and beautiful once, now dead. A species that looked like neither human nor Velcrim, but something in between. Cities of light and sound. Then, catastrophe. A plague that killed the world. The last survivors building this ship, filling it with seeds and genetic samples and memories. A vault ship, designed to preserve what was lost. It's a seed vault, Taesung said softly. The last remnant of an extinct civilization. The defenses weren't meant to hurt anyone. They were meant to protect what's inside until someone worthy found it. More images came. The AI controlling the ship had been waiting for centuries, waiting for beings who would approach with curiosity instead of aggression, with cooperation instead of conquest. The mathematical sequences and Velcrim harmonics together proved that two different species could work as one. This was what it had been programmed to recognize. Welcome, seekers. The AI's message translated. You have proven your intent is pure. You may enter. You may learn. You may take what seeds you need to heal your worlds. Hana was crying. Her patterns pulsed with joy and relief. We did it. We actually did it. You did it, Taesung corrected. This was your plan too. Your culture's sounds combined with human math. The derelict's main airlock opened, revealing a passage lit with gentle blue light, an invitation. But before they could respond, alarms shrieked. Junwoo's damaged ship was turning around, coming back. What is he doing? Hana asked. Taesung checked the sensors. He's going to ram the airlock. He's going to force his way in while it's open. He thinks he can still claim salvage rights if he gets inside. But the nanomachines, they'll kill him. He doesn't care. His honor is damaged. He needs a victory or he faces shame. Tae-sung made a decision. Hana, can you control the derelict's defenses? What? I don't know. Maybe. The AI seems willing to communicate. Ask it to shut down the nanomachines. Just temporarily. But Junwoo attacked us. He got his own warriors killed. Why would we save him? Because you're not him. Because you're better than him. Because mercy is stronger than revenge. Tae-sung looked at her. This is your choice. You're the airkeeper. What do you decide? Hana's patterns flickered rapidly. She was thinking, processing. Then, they steadied into a bright, clear blue. AI, please deactivate defensive systems. We have incoming forces, but they will not be harmed. The AI responded immediately. The symbols on the derelict's hull changed color. The defensive ports remained closed. Junwoo's ship crashed through the airlock entrance, damaging the ancient structure but getting inside. His warriors poured out. Weapons ready. Expecting a fight, they found none. The corridor was empty, except for peaceful blue light. Over the communication channel, Junwoo's voice was confused. Where are the defenses? Why aren't we being attacked? Because we asked the ship not to attack you. Hana responded. Her voice was strong now. You were going to die. I couldn't let that happen. Even after what you did. Silence. Then Junwoo appeared in the corridor. He was limping, his armor damaged. Blood seeped from a wound on his shoulder. His patterns were dark with shame and confusion. You saved me. After I challenged you. After my warriors died because of my pride. You saved me. Yes, Hana said simply. Why? Because I am not a warrior. I am not strong in the ways you value. But I can choose mercy. I can choose to preserve life instead of taking it. That is my strength. Tae-sung watched through the camera feeds as Junwoo dropped to his knees. His remaining warriors did the same. I owe you a life debt, Junwoo said. By the old laws, I am bound to you. Clan Thorvik acknowledges this debt. Mirei's voice came through on their channel. She sounded pleased. Interesting. Not only has Hana secured the derelict, she has gained the loyalty of a rival clan. Well done, Airkeeper. Airkeeper? Hana repeated. Does that mean your trial is complete? You have demonstrated wisdom beyond your years. You have shown that mercy can be stronger than violence. You have proven that different kinds of strength matter. Mirei paused. Welcome to your position, daughter. You have earned it. Mirei. 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 The seed vault contained treasures beyond imagining. Not weapons, not technology to destroy, but life itself. Seeds from 1,000 worlds. Genetic samples from hundreds of extinct species. Among them, Tae-sung's analysis revealed something crucial. Biological compounds that could cure a genetic disorder, slowly killing young Velcrim across multiple clans. The derelict's AI shared its entire database. Thousands of years of accumulated knowledge from a civilization that valued growth over conquest. Understanding over domination. When they returned to the Time's Honor's Edge asterisk, the entire crew was waiting. They stood at attention as Hana emerged from the shuttle. Dae-hyun stepped forward and placed a ceremonial blade at her feet, the ultimate sign of respect from a warrior to his leader. Airkeeper Hana, Clan Velmora recognizes you. One by one, every warrior bowed. Even Junwoo and his surviving warriors, now bound by life debt, lowered their heads. Hana stood taller than Tae-sung had ever seen her. Her patterns glowed with confidence and strength. Not the strength of warriors, the strength of wisdom. Mirei approached, moving slowly. She looked even older now, tired. It is time for the next step, daughter. The ritual of inheritance must begin. You must receive the genetic memory of our clan. When? Hana asked. Tomorrow. There is no more time to wait. My body fails. Mireille looked at Taesung. And you, blood-bonded human, must be there. The ritual requires witnesses who understand both change and tradition. You have proven you are such a person. Taesung felt the weight of responsibility settle on him again. The trial was over. But something bigger was about to begin. The ritual chamber was deep inside the Time's Honor's Edge asterisk, in a section of the ship Taesung had never seen. The walls were organic-looking, grown rather than built, and they pulsed with the same patterns as Velcrim's skin. The air felt thick and charged with energy. Thousands of Velcrim watched through holographic projections. Not just Clan Velmora, but representatives from dozens of other clans across their space. The ritual of inheritance was sacred. It happened perhaps once in a generation. Everyone wanted to witness it. Mireille lay on a raised platform in the center of the chamber. She looked so small now, so fragile. Her patterns barely glowed. Hana stood beside her, wearing simple ceremonial robes. No armor, no weapons, just herself. Taesung stood to the side with Dae-hyun and the other clan elders. He felt completely out of place, a human at the heart of an alien mystery that was 50,000 years old. You are nervous, Dae-hyun observed quietly. Terrified, Taesung admitted. I don't understand what's about to happen. I don't know why I need to be here. The blood bond requires it. You are part of Hana's strength now. She will need that strength for what comes next. Dae-hyun's patterns darkened with concern. The ritual of inheritance has always been dangerous. To receive 50,000 years of memory in one moment can break a mind. 3 airkeepers in our history have failed. Their minds shattered. They lived but were empty, lost forever. And you're just now telling me this? Would it have changed anything? Would you have abandoned her? Taesung thought about it. No. I guess not. Then there was no need to worry you earlier. Dae-hyun almost smiled. You humans are strange creatures. You bond so quickly to those you barely know. It is admirable and foolish at the same time. The ceremony began. Mireille raised her hand, and Hana took it. Tendrils of light emerged from Mireille's skin, reaching out to touch Hana's forehead, her chest, her hands. Where they touched, Hana's patterns began to glow brighter and change colors. Mireille spoke, her voice weak but clear. I am Mireille, 3,000 years old. I carry the memory of every matriarch before me. I carry 50,000 years of joy and sorrow, victory and defeat, wisdom and folly. This burden I now pass to you, Hana, youngest daughter, heir-keeper of Clan Velmora. The tendrils of light intensified. Taesung watched as the transfer began. He could see data flowing through those light tendrils, visible as pulses and waves. Massive amounts of information, pouring from one mind to another. For the first few minutes, everything seemed fine. Hana's patterns were steady, her breathing regular. The watching Velcrim remained silent, respectful. Then something changed. Mireille's patterns flickered wildly. The light tendrils wavered and split, becoming chaotic. Warning sounds echoed through the chamber. Something is wrong, one of the elders said. The transfer is unstable, Hana screamed. Her patterns exploded into 1,000 different colors, flickering so fast they became painful to look at. Her body convulsed. The data flow had become a flood, overwhelming her mind. Stop the ritual, Taesung shouted. You're killing her. We cannot stop, Dae-hyun said, his voice strained. Once begun, the ritual must complete, or both minds are destroyed. Mireille is too weak. Her memories are fragmenting. This has never happened before. Mireille's voice was barely a whisper. I am sorry, daughter. I am too old. Too tired. The memory structure is collapsing. I cannot control it. Hana was screaming continuously now. Her patterns were completely random. Blood began to drip from her nose. Her body was shutting down. Unable to process the chaotic data, Tae-sung didn't think. He just moved. He ran to the platform and grabbed Hana's free hand. "What are you doing?" Dae-hyun roared. "No outsider can touch during the ritual. She's dying. I have to help. You will die with her. Human minds cannot process Velcrim memory. Then we'll both die trying." Tae-sung held Hana's hand tighter. "AI. From the derelict. Are you connected to this ship's systems?" A response came immediately through the chamber's speakers. "Yes. Blood-bonded human. I observe the crisis. Can you help? Can you stabilize the data transfer?" "Negative. Velcrim genetic memory requires Velcrim neural architecture. However, a buffer system might work. A temporary storage location for fragmented data while the primary recipient adapts. Use me. Use my mind as the buffer. Your neural structure is incompatible. The attempt may destroy your consciousness. I don't care. Do it." The AI paused for exactly 1 second. Compliance. Initiating neural bridge. Brace for impact. Pain exploded through Tae-sung's head. It felt like his brain was being torn apart and rebuilt at the same time. The light tendrils that had been connecting Mireille to Hana split and extended to him. They touched his forehead, and suddenly he was drowning in memory. He saw ancient Velcrim cities of crystal and song. He felt wars that lasted centuries. The grief of millions dead. He experienced the joy of first contact with other species. The pride of scientific discoveries. The shame of genocides committed and atrocities witnessed. Love and hate and fear and courage across thousands of generations. 50,000 years of life compressed into seconds. It should have destroyed him. It should have burned his mind to ash. But the AI was helping. It was sorting the data, organizing it, storing fragments in his neural pathways, temporarily. Not permanently. His human brain couldn't hold Velcrim genetic memory forever, but he could hold pieces of it for a little while. Just long enough for Hana to adapt. Distribution successful, the AI reported. Human consciousness holding 23% of fragmented memory. Primary recipient adapting to remaining 77%. Stability increasing. Hana's screaming stopped. Her patterns began to organize themselves, falling into coherent sequences. The data flow became smooth again. Controlled. Mireille smiled. Clever. So clever. A human mind storing Velcrim memory. It should be impossible. But you do it anyway. Her patterns were fading now, dimming to almost nothing. Finish it, daughter. Take what remains. I am ready to rest. The final transfer completed. The light tendrils withdrew. Mireille's patterns went dark. Her breathing stopped. She died peacefully. Her duty fulfilled. Hana opened her eyes. They glowed with inner light now, filled with the accumulated wisdom of millennia. When she looked at Tae-sung, he saw recognition there. Not just of him, but of everything. She understood things no young Velcrim should understand. She carried the weight of history in her mind. "Matriarch Hana," Dae-hyun said, and this time his voice carried absolute respect. "The inheritance is complete." Tae-sung collapsed. The memories he had been holding were starting to fade, returning to where they belonged. But fragments remained. He could suddenly speak Velcrim perfectly. He understood their cultural nuances. He felt echoes of their instincts, their ways of thinking. "You saved me," Hana said. She knelt beside him, helping him sit up. "You risked everything for me." Again, "That's what friends do," Tae-sung managed to say. His head felt like it had been hit with a hammer. Not friends. Family. Hana's patterns pulsed warm gold, blood-bonded, and now memory-touched. "You carry pieces of our history inside you now. No human has ever done this. No outsider has ever been honored this way." Over the next few days, Tae-sung recovered. The Velcrim medical technology was incredible and helped his brain heal from the trauma of touching genetic memory. But he was forever changed. He could understand Velcrim language and culture in ways no human ever had before. Hana adapted to her role as matriarch with surprising ease. She carried Mirei's wisdom, but kept her own personality. She made decisions that shocked the older warriors, but proved effective. She was changing what it meant to be a Velcrim leader. Her first major decision was to establish a cultural exchange program with humanity. Not just treaties or trade agreements. Actual sharing of knowledge, culture, and understanding. "We have been isolationist for too long," she announced to the assembled clans. "We have valued our traditions so much that we forgot to grow. The human teacher showed me that different perspectives make us stronger, not weaker," some clans protested. Some called it betrayal of their ways. But Junwoo, bound by life debt and genuinely changed by his experience, spoke in support. Other younger Velcrim agreed. Slowly, the tide turned. 6 months later, Taesung stood in his schoolhouse on New Haven Colony. But it wasn't just his schoolhouse anymore. The building had been expanded, rebuilt with both human and Velcrim technology. Half the desks were human-sized. Half were Velcrim-sized. Children of both species sat together, learning about each other's worlds. A young Velcrim boy raised his hand to ask about Earth's oceans. A human girl shared her tablet with a Velcrim girl, showing her favorite games. They laughed together. Their differences meaningless to young minds, not yet poisoned by prejudice. Taesung taught a history lesson, explaining how human and Velcrim civilizations had developed independently, but arrived at similar conclusions about honor, courage, and wisdom. He used examples from both cultures, switching between languages effortlessly. Daehyun stood at the back of the classroom, observing. He had become Hana's chief military advisor, but visited the school regularly. The massive warrior looked ridiculous sitting in a chair designed for children. But he insisted on attending lessons to better understand humans. The door opened, and Hana walked in, unannounced. She wore simpler robes now, less formal than traditional matriarch attire. The children barely reacted to her presence. To them, she was just matriarch Hana, who sometimes visited to tell stories about ancient Velcrim history. "Teacher, may I observe today's lesson?" she asked formally. Taesung smiled. "Always, matriarch. Always." 4. Matriarch. Always. She sat in the back next to Daehyun, her patterns glowing softly. She was content. Happy. The weight of 50,000 years of memory rested easier on her now. She had learned to carry it without being crushed by it. Taesung continued teaching. He explained how both humans and Velcrim had once been afraid of each other, how that fear had created barriers, and how understanding had broken those barriers down. "My sister used to say that the universe is too big for any one species to understand alone," Taesung told the class. "We need each other. We need different perspectives, different kinds of strength." "Does anyone know what that means?" A small human boy raised his hand. "It means nobody's perfect alone, but together, we're better?" "Exactly." Taesung looked around at the mixed group of children. Human and Velcrim learning side by side. Together, we're better. After class ended, Taesung, Hana, and Daehyun stood outside the schoolhouse. More Velcrim ships were arriving in orbit. More families wanting to participate in the exchange program. Other alien species had started making inquiries too. The Velcrim-Human Alliance was attracting attention across the galaxy. "This is bigger than I ever imagined," Taesung said, watching the ships descend. One scared child in a storm. That's all it was. And now look. Kesa. 8. Gesa. 8. 8. "You taught me that small actions can have big consequences," Hana replied. One person choosing compassion over indifference. One person refusing to let fear make their decisions. That changed everything. "You changed everything," Taesung corrected. "You chose mercy over revenge. Wisdom over tradition. You did that." Not me. We did it together. That is the whole point. Hana's patterns pulsed warmly. Human and Velcrim, working as one. This is the lesson we teach now. This is the legacy we build. Daehyun cleared his throat. A transmission came through this morning. The Council of Species wants to discuss formalizing the exchange program, making it available to all member civilizations. All of them? Taesung felt dizzy. The Council represented over 50 different alien species. That's enormous. Yes. Because what you started here proves something important. Different species can coexist, can cooperate, can learn from each other. Daehyun's patterns flickered with amusement. You have accidentally reshaped galactic politics, teacher. How does that feel? Terrifying. And amazing. Mostly terrifying. Hana laughed. It was a sound of pure joy, so different from the frightened, shivering child Taesung had found in the storm. Good. Fear means you understand what is at stake, but you will not let fear stop you. You taught me that. Now you must remember it yourself. More children were arriving for the afternoon session. Human and Velcrim, playing together before class started. Their laughter filled the air, a sound of hope and possibility. Taesung watched them and felt something he hadn't felt since his sister died. Purpose. Real, meaningful purpose. He wasn't just teaching children about the universe anymore. He was helping build a new kind of universe. One where differences were celebrated instead of feared. Where cooperation was valued over conquest. Where a simple act of kindness could ripple outward and change everything. Teacher? A small Velcrim girl tugged on his sleeve. Of course, Taesung said, kneeling down to her level. And maybe Matriarch Hana can tell you about the crystal cities of ancient Velcrim. The girl's patterns brightened with excitement. She ran inside to tell her friends. Hana looked at Taesung. Do you ever regret it? That night, in the storm? Everything that came after? Taesung thought about it. His life had been simple before. Quiet. Safe. Now, it was complicated, and sometimes dangerous, and full of responsibilities he never asked for. No, he said finally. Not even for a second. You were a child who needed help. Everything else is just details. Just details. Hana repeated, amused. You reshape galactic civilization and call it details. You are very strange, Taesung. Yeah. I've been told that. They stood together, Human and Velcrim, teacher and matriarch, watching the children play. Behind them, the stars shone bright in the daylight sky. Ships from a dozen worlds moved in orbit, bringing more families, more students, more possibilities. One simple choice in a storm had led to this. One moment of compassion had broken down walls that stood for millennia. And this was just the beginning. The seeds they planted today would grow into forests tomorrow. The children playing together now would build the future together later. It wasn't perfect. There were still difficulties, still misunderstandings, still prejudices to overcome. But every day was progress. Every shared lesson was a victory. Every friendship between species was proof that fear didn't have to win. Taesung smiled and headed back inside. He had a class to teach, children to guide, a future to build, one small moment at a time. And somewhere in the universe, another teacher might find another frightened child in another storm. And they might make the same choice Taesung had made. To help instead of ignore. To risk instead of retreat. To choose compassion over convenience. That choice, multiplied across worlds and species and time, would change everything. Was already changing everything. All because one human teacher had sheltered one shivering alien girl and chosen kindness over fear.